It's February 10th. Welcome to yes2hellwith.com. I've spoken with several of you online through phone or video conferences about the use of the Liberty Dialogues with AI or ChatGPT. Those conversations have been very constructive. I have a couple more scheduled this week, and I look forward to helping you understand how to apply the Liberty Dialogues to your personal situations. Today I'd like to talk about the topic of freedom, and I'm going to use freedom and liberty interchangeably because I don't think that when Patrick Henry said, "Give me liberty or give me death," that he made a distinction between liberty and freedom. So let's talk about freedom. Freedom, presumption, and perhaps even applying the cost of existence into the equation. So I encourage you to open your minds and hearts and just observe and listen. Freedom begins as a simple condition. It is the ability of a man to live, think, act, and labor according to his own will and conscience without coercion, so long as he does not violate the equal rights of another. At birth, man is free in the same fundamental sense as the fish of the sea. The fish swims without asking permission. It feeds, moves, and survives according to nature. Its freedom is instinctive and physical. Man, too, is born without chains. He breathes, moves, thinks, and acts without license or approval. In this way, both man and fish begin free, unencumbered by authority. But here the similarity ends. The fish's freedom is unconscious. It does not choose its values, question its environment, or understand restraint. It cannot consent, dissent, or comply. It is free simply because it exists, and it loses freedom only when physically captured. Man's freedom is different. Man is free not merely because he moves, but because he chooses, he reasons, he judges, he accepts or refuses obligation. And here lies the profound danger. A fish can only be enslaved with a net. A man can be enslaved without one. Man can walk freely while being governed. He can appear unrestrained while every meaningful action of his life is regulated, licensed, conditioned, or taxed. This occurs through a quiet but powerful mechanism, the presumption of consent, or the net, as it were. As statutes, regulations, and ordinances multiply at the local, state, and federal level, the nature of authority changes. Consent is no longer requested. It is presumed. What once required proof of agreement becomes enforced through silence. What once required jurisdiction becomes enforced through participation. What once required authority becomes enforced through volume. Man is told he has agreed because he lives where he lives, because he works, because he drives, because he uses money, because he exists within the system. The more rules that are imposed, the less freedom man exercises as a moral agent. Choice is replaced with compliance. Right is replaced with permission. At a certain point, freedom no longer means the ability to act. It means the ability to act only within approved limits. And then comes the final transformation. As control increases and freedom contracts, the cost of living rises. Every statute has a price. Every regulation embeds a fee. Every ordinance carries compliance costs. Housing becomes expensive through zoning, permits, inspections, and codes. Work becomes burdensome through reporting requirements and payroll controls. Travel becomes costly through registration, fuel taxes, tolls, and licensing. Survival itself, food, water, energy, shelter, passes through regulated systems that extract payment at every stage. What were once natural acts become regulated privileges, and regulated privileges also cost money. As these costs compound, man is forced into debt. Debt becomes the mechanism that replaces chains. A man now works not primarily for his family, his calling, or his growth, but to service obligations imposed by systems he never explicitly consented to in the first place. His labor sustains the structure that governs him. Debt ensures obedience where force would fail. Fear of loss of home, credit, access, reputation becomes the new enforcement tool. This is how freedom disappears in modern life. Not through conquest, not through overt tyranny, but through presumed consent, administrative control, and economic pressure. The fish loses freedom only when seized. Man loses freedom when he forgets it was ever his, and when the cost of living is raised so high that independence becomes impossible. The final condition emerges. With every level of government increases the cost of a man's existence. Freedom becomes unaffordable, and when freedom is unaffordable, survival itself becomes servitude. At that point, man is no longer governed as a free being, but as a debtor whose life has become collateral. There is another consequence that must be confronted. When a man simply exists within an ever-expanding legal and administrative trap, he becomes accustomed to a condition that closely resembles incarceration. Not physical imprisonment, but psychological and moral confinement. He senses that something is wrong. He feels pressure, anxiety, and constraint. Yet he cannot name the source with precision. He does not know how to escape because no door is visible. There are no bars to grasp, no guard to confront. He intuits that something better exists, something higher, a condition of dignity and autonomy. But he has never shown a path towards that destination. Over time, he adapts. He learns to function within limitation. He becomes comfortable being uncomfortable. This is the most effective form of control. A man who knows he is imprisoned resists. A man who believes his confinement is normal complies. Here is the irony. When I was physically imprisoned for defending a truthful, good faith belief, I was a free man, more free than most Americans walking outside prison walls. The iron bars did not suppress my freedom, they clarified it. They stripped away illusion and revealed the true nature of authority, coercion, and consent. Many who experience prison come to understand what the system does to man and to freedom. They see clearly what others only sense vaguely. This knowledge, once acquired, cannot be taken away. It produces something rare in modern life, peace of mind, because a man who understands freedom internally is no longer governed by fear externally. And as always, may truth reign supreme.